Welcome back. We're here, Sugar and Spice. So excited to be with you today on this gorgeous end of May day in Athens, Georgia. We are having the most beautiful spring, don't you think?
The cool breeze is just wonderful. It does feel like spring.
It does.
And it really is still spring when you think about it. It's not summer yet, but usually we have summer weather right now, and we're enjoying this little
It really
special
is an unusual time for us to be in the 60s and low 70s at the end of May. And Gail and I are actually at a beautiful spot here in Athens, the Athens Botanical Garden. And we're at a particular spot that doesn't really show off a lot of the flowers. We might come back and do another video and find an area that is more colorful. But if you ever visit Athens, Georgia, I highly recommend that you come to this beautiful garden. Acres and acres and acres, hiking trails, venues to have weddings and all types of, they have musical concerts here. We've been, and it's just
My son and his wife had their wedding reception here,
And
22 years ago, or almost 22.
And my
Beautiful
husband
place.
and I got married here.
Yes, yes.
I want to say 38 years ago, but who's counting? Who's
That's
counting?
right. We're not going to count those years.
No, we're not. So we are back with you today to review a couple of books, and I'm going to start out with one that actually is fixing to come out as a movie, and it's by that famous producer Scorsese. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio in it. It's got Robert De Niro in it, and they've already shown it at the Cannes Film Festival, I think that's how you say it, in Paris. And the title is The Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. And this is the book that we studied this month in my mystery book club. And it's been out for a while, and I picked it up a while ago. It's been a couple of years maybe, and I just thought it was slow to begin with. But when my book club says we're going to read a book, I'm one of those people that does what you're told to do.
Oh, I don't believe that. Sometimes you added the
Yes,
correct
sometimes.
word.
Well, I have learned and I have shared with our leader that a lot of the books that she'll pick, I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm going to like that. And I end up really liking them. And this one is a non-fiction book. So intriguing. It's about the Osage Indians in Oklahoma, and it was back in the 1900s, early 1900s, when America was placing the Indians on separate lands for their reservations, and they moved the Osage to a spot that was very stark. It was very rocky. It didn't have very good agricultural ground, but when they signed all the legal documents, someone was smart enough to get the mineral rights for the Osage tribe. Well, what happens? Yes, you've guessed it, they discover oil. And the most fascinating thing occurs. You have white men coming in and deciding to marry the Osage squaws, and you have all types of people moving in and setting up different types of businesses. And the Indians are starting to get millions and millions of dollars. They were actually the richest group of people in the world at that time. The oil was so rich, and the percentages that they were getting was so much. Well, of course, the American government decided that they really couldn't handle it themselves, so they assigned guardians to different families to let them know, well, you really only need this much money this month, and you don't really need to buy that car, that type of thing. And although they told them some things they could and couldn't buy, they still lived a very wealthy lifestyle. But what happens in the early 1920s is people start being found murdered. And there's one particular family, and they are a family that did get a large percentage of the oil rights, and they are getting murdered one by one. People are hired to come investigate, but the investigators just get to loose ends and dead ends, and it doesn't go anywhere. But finally, someone convinces the federal government to get involved. And they found out there was a legal way that it could turn to federal rather than state. And that was the beginning of the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And Herbert Hoover had just come to the head of it. Well, I'm not going to tell any more, but so much history here, so interesting to find out all the intricate details of what was going on behind the scenes. Wonderful book. I suggest you pick it up if you like to read the book before the movie comes out. So I give it a 5. Excellent.
Wonderful. Well, my first book's title is Mrs. Kimball by Jennifer Haigh. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I looked it up to see. Might be Haigh, Haigh. This is her very first novel, Carla, and she won the Penn Hemingway Award for this novel. And I looked that up. I'm not real familiar with a lot of the awards, but it is given to an author whose first book is their very first novel to be, published, and it's worthy of the award. So it has to be the first one, and this was it.
And Gail, I'm so interested that you're talking about this one because I've read it. It's been a long time, and of course, before she even started talking about it, I said, Gail, is that about such and such? She says, no. So remind me what it's about. Let me see if it comes back to this old brain.
Okay, this is a story of a very mysterious con man, and it is told through the eyes of his 3 wives. And thus we have the 3 dresses.
Oh,
and
how
the
cool.
Shoes. And I was wondering, what in the world does that, why have a book jacket like that? So, yes, I can almost pick which one would
Each
wear
wife?
which. Yes.
That'd be interesting to run like a survey to say which wife you thought would wear each garment.
The first Mrs. Kimball was deserted. Ken Kimball left her and their 2 children, and it was one of those things. She thought he was going off on a business trip or whatever, and he never came back. And
I have had that happen, literally, to a friend of mine here that I work with.
Well,
It's so interesting.
devastating.
Yeah.
The second Mrs. Kimball was a frustrated feminist who has just had a mastectomy and battled with cancer.
Oh.
She is very prideful, very independent, and she told no one, not even her brother, who was the only living member of her family still.
That she had cancer or that he left? Because did he
This
leave?
is the second one. You got to pay attention.
Well-
This is the second Miss Kimball. All right, the frustrated feminist. Now the third Mrs. Kimball.
Are they all married at the same time?
I'm not going to tell the whole thing. You've got to listen. The third one is a mother. They had a son, and she devoted her life to being the best wife, being the best hostess to Ken Kimball that she possibly could, and even to the expense of her own desires and happiness. So you will have to read this because there's mystery, there is sadness, there is unbelievable happenings, and he lies. It's like he's a professional liar.
Well, he's a
what do you call it?
sociopath. Yeah,
exactly.
they can laugh.
He lies, and they believe everything.
Yes.
Each one believed. He's able to finally get his children, and try to get custody of them. And he tells that wife, some sort of story about that the first wife had actually left the children with foster family or something. It's unbelievable what he does. And the last Mrs. Kimball, her name is Dinah. A totally crazy automobile accident brings them together, okay? And I'm not going to tell you there's a backstory for Dinah. You just got to read it. It really, really is an interesting book. I did not like a lot of it, and I think part of it is I did not like
Him.
Ken.
Yeah.
His
First name is Ken. Did you say
Ken.
Ken? Does he
But-
keep his same name?
Yes.
Okay.
Keeps his name. Gets rich. off of all of his scheming kind of stuff, and hoards it to himself for the most part, you know, the millions that he's put away. But she does a great job of characterization.
So
Wonderful.
I'm going to try to very succinctly to see if I grasp it, Gail. There's 3 Mrs. Kimballs.
So I can't tell it myself. I don't know how to do it.
No, I'm
myself.
just saying. I want to make sure I grasped it.
Oh, okay.
The first Mrs. Kimball, he married. They had 2 children. He left her. The second one had breast cancer, and she was a very kind of a private, you know, lady, prideful lady.
Yeah. And she had her own money from family money.
And they had no children. I'm trying to remember. They had no children.
She did. She wanted one so bad, but I think the cancer and all the treatment that she had a miscarriage early on, and she wanted to try again, and he convinced her not to. So they never had. But it was during that marriage that she found out about his 2 children. She found a picture.
Okay.
And, you know, convinced, well, maybe you can get them.
So is that when he got the 2 children?
Yes.
Okay, that's kind of what, and then the third one, it's a car accident, but they don't have children.
Yes, they end up having a son.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this just sounds like,
it's
and don't
very
tell the
intriguing.
ending. I don't want you to tell the
ending. No,
ending.
I'm not going to tell the ending, and it's intriguing. Like I say, it wasn't one of my favorite reads just because of a lot of what went on, and yet it's a good book. I can see where she won the award.
Yeah.
Pick it
First
up.
time
I
author.
give it a 4. I do give it a 4.
Well, I just hope, as I think most of y'all do, and I don't even want Gail to be able to look at us, but we hope he gets his comeuppance. We just hope that. Don't say it. Don't say it.
And I realize, Carl, I hope you don't mind. I don't know if you want to stop videoing for just a minute.
Why are you going to cuss
But
me
even
out?
though I took my Benadryl because I knew we'd be outside and around all kinds of plants, and
You need a tissue?
No, I need to get a cough drop because
All right.
I can tell.
But we're going to stop. And it didn't stop. And we're going to stop. Okay, I think we've got the allergy taken care of temporarily.
If I
no
start
problem.
coughing, I may have to just walk away. I
No,
hope not.
no, we'll
Hope not.
suffer through it together. My next book is by JoJo Moyes, and it's called Someone Else's Shoes. She's highly popular. I know y'all have probably read a lot of hers, Me Before You or After You, and different ones, and I've read those, and I'm going to get the Something to Do with Stars, The Giver of Stars is a book of hers that I just got from Thrift Books. But this book I totally enjoyed. It was a very light-hearted book for the most part, although some kind of catastrophic things happen, but it's kept kind of light. It's not serious.
Good.
What happens is this lady goes to work out one day, and she's just very frustrated with life. She has very low self-esteem. She's middle-aged. Her husband's father passed away, and then he lost his job, and he has decided to go into a deep depression. And I mean, she's the only one working, and he's for months just been laying on the sofa. He just can't seem to get out of it, but she's trying to do her best, you know, to keep things going. Well, while she's there at the club, she's working out, looking at all these rich ladies doing, and she's thinking, I'm overweight, and I'm not making what I should make, or we're not making what we should make. And when she leaves in a hurry. And she has an appointment that she has to go to with her work, and it's so important. And she looks down and she realizes that the shoes she has to put on are not her shoes. She would be wearing your comfortable, you know, staid, good old shoes for work, but these shoes are bling bling. They are very famous and probably cost hundreds, if not $1,000. So anyway, she has a couple of guys that go out with her on these tours, and they say, well, you've got to wear them. You know, you have to wear the shoes. So she ends up going in and getting the contract. But at the same time, she trips and falls with the shoes on and everything, and she just feels so horrible. Well, what happens is the lady who owns the shoes is married to like a multi-millionaire. And of course, she's very upset that she can't find her shoes. And that very same day, her husband that she's been married to for like 20 years, he tells her, I'm leaving you. This is it. Goodbye. And not only that, but she cannot get into their account. She cannot get into where they live to get her clothes or any of her personal items. So she is just frantically trying to find out where the shoes are, who took them, and what's going on in her life. She ends up having to work as a maid. The other lady is still struggling, but she's becoming successful at work, and it turns out that when she wears these shoes, good things happen to her.
Somehow I missed. Did she find the shoes somewhere?
Yes.
Is that what it was?
Yes. It's like when you have your gym bag, you know,
Right,
and
right,
usually you
okay.
lock away your most valuable stuff, you know,
Exactly.
and she just grabbed the wrong gym bag that was sitting there.
Gotcha.
And so it
Alright.
had these bling bling shoes in it, and she
I
starts
could
wearing
just
them.
stick my little foot up. I've got bling bling shoes on.
You
but
do take them off.
I'll just-
Show those blings, girl.
I've got some bling bling shoes. My goodness. Yeah.
But it
They
is
didn't
such
cost that much money though. They were given to me.
It's such a cute book. You meet so many interesting characters, and like I said, the two main ones, they finally meet, and they end up joining together to solve a large mystery, because the bling bling shoes have a secret to them, a very important secret. So they're a main character of the book. I highly recommend it. I give it a 5. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was one of those that, like I said, was light. Every time you picked it up, you put it down with just a good feeling, and you wanted to pick it up again.
Oh, it sounds like it. My next book is The Christmas Hummingbird by Davis Bunn. And Davis Bunn has won several Christie Awards for some of his books. I've read several of his books. Some of them are under T. Davis Bunn. And he is from North Carolina. The Wake Forest University is where he was educated. And then he went to London to get his master's degree and really fell in love with that country. And today he and his wife live mostly in the UK, sometimes in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. This is, he writes historical fiction, legal thrillers, but this story is one of those sweet, sweet stories that's set in Miramar Bay, California. Now, he has written a series of books set there, and I looked it up. It really is a place, a beautiful, beautiful place.
I
And
bet
so
so.
this book was set there. He is a Christian, and his faith is a common thread in most of his books. He does it in a real realistic, believable manner. He also, this is a little bit about him because I was intrigued when I looked it up. He also writes some books under another name, and some authors do that.
They do.
And
A pen name, they call it. And
Thomas Locke. Now, I think the T in his name is Thomas, but the last name is Locke. And these, I've not read any of these books, but I did look them up, and they're mostly epic fantasy types of stories.
totally different genre then.
Totally different. Technological thrills, things like that. Excuse me, I do have notes on the back of my
Oh no,
book
we would have never
as
guessed.
I'm tearing them off and putting them down. Okay. Now, there are many, many coastal wildfires that have sprung up. That's the very first thing as you open up the book. It's devastating.
And this
I know
happens in California
Yes,
a
I was
lot.
going to say, if you
Yes.
watch the news at all or the weather or whatever, you know that happens a lot. And it's also the Christmas season. So at first I was like, wildfires out there in the Christmas season, but
Well, they
I
have
guess
their weather out there doesn't change that
No.
much. It's like 70s all year. And
it hit me. It's not up north somewhere or
Yeah.
what. That would be very, very, certainly very true for that to happen. One of the main characters is Ryan, and this is a female with her name is Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
She's a single mom with an 11-year-old gifted son. He is an artist, but he has some health issues. He has some self-esteem issues, and he has trouble relating with his peers. And one of his, I kept saying the word issues, but one of his problems, or one of the things that he just
disabilities,
Yeah,
maybe.
I would almost call it good. I would
Like an
almost call it-
autistic Asperger's kind of thing.
He will not show even his mom the pictures that he draws. He's constantly drawing. He's got notebooks full. Just loves to draw, but he won't show them.
And you said he's 7. Is he
He's
7?
11. He's
11. Okay,
So he's
I
kind
didn't
of at
hear it
that
right.
age where
Yeah.
you're still finding. Yeah. Anyway, his the next character is named Ethan.
Oh, my son's
I
name.
know. I thought about that when I said. And Ethan has been divorced for 6 years. It was a very painful divorce. There was betrayal, and he's still not over it. He's still single. Has not dated hardly at all, and he is a banker, but his first love is the creative arts, and he actually on his off time or downtime or whatever, he's contracted out with a company to make some of those claymation movies and
Yes.
TV shows.
Yes,
he draws and gets all that worked up. But one of his best artistic activities is to make miniature figures, miniature villages, miniature houses, and he's made doll houses, for people.
Reminds me of that book I shared about the woman that would make those miniature criminal scenes. Remember?
Oh yes, I do remember that.
8 Tiny Deaths, I think it was called. Yeah.
So his hobby or second career is definitely in woodworking and artistic type things, and he is called up along with Ryan by the fire department to please help get people evacuated out because the fires are just beginning to devastate the entire area, and they're having to get people out quickly.
Volunteers.
Yes, so
please.
he's deputized or whatever, and she's already police officer. So this is how they meet. His own home that he had put so much time and work and special woodworking, the
Oh
floors.
my! Does he have some of his villages in the home that he's worked, or does it tell you if he does?
You know what? I'm trying to remember.
He's probably working on some there.
Yes, and it is about to go up, totally in flames. So she gets him out. He doesn't want to leave. He's hoping he doesn't have to leave, but he's not gone for very long, and he loses everything. So this is 2 devastating things in his life. But he meets Ryan. He meets her son. Liam is his name, and they click. Because of the artistic abilities and the connection there. And the other thing that he realizes, because they also try to rescue any animals that are at risk, of these fires, and get them to these special shelters for the animals. And Liam, he realizes how much he loves animals, so they have a little connection there. They're working together to do a lot of that. There is a bit of mystery. This is not a thriller. This is not, a murder mystery. But there is a little bit of a mystery that's going on, and I won't reveal any of that. It's very special and heartwarming. It's one of those books that touches you on so many levels. I guess you were wondering when Gail is going to get to something about no hummingbird.
Oh, I'm waiting for Christmas.
It is the Christmas season that you don't focus a lot on that. But there evidently are a lot of hummingbirds in the Miramar Bay, and they are extremely at risk with these fires. And there is something special that the young 11-year-old boy, Liam, and Ethan do to help hummingbirds. So get this book. It's a good one. A good one.
Gail,
yes.
Once again, and this is me. This is not you.
No, it's me. I'm not real good at expressing like you do.
Ethan, I can't pick. Where does Ethan fit in? I've got Liam, Ryan.
Ethan is the main character.
The man.
The artist, yeah. that.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
But thank you
Yeah.
for.
Pick this one up. I would give it a 5. I would.
Now, was this a Books for Keep, and was your other one a Books for Keep?
My other one was a Books for Keep, but this one was not.
Okay.
This was a library.
All right.
book. Yeah.
Well, we were so glad to be able to share a part of our morning with you today. We are having a Sister's Day. We are going to go to lunch.
Birthday girl.
Both of us
up.
have
Yeah.
made birthdays. We do.
Yes.
And so I have to tell you, I was so excited recently when I looked at our channel. And I haven't looked at it in a while because there was a while there I was just like every day. And I was just like, oh my gosh, we have gotten 30 new subscribers. And
So
it just,
encouraging. Oh,
just
yes.
blew me away. And a couple of sweet ladies said, I don't know how I found you, but I'm so glad I did. And another lady, I subscribed right away. And that just means so much to us. And we will have a year anniversary coming up June 22nd from when we started this channel. And I'd really love to get maybe 20 more. We've got 130. I'd love for 150 by June 22nd. That would just make me very, very pleased and happy. We hope you're enjoying us. We know it's a learning experience. We are two young old ladies and trying to do our best to share our joy and love of reading and what it means to us. So please subscribe and hit the notification bell and give us a like, a thumbs up if you enjoyed it.
And put some contact, down in the contact section. If you could
Comments.
Comments. Contact. They both start with C, right?
They
Okay.
do. That's like my husband. He'll say somebody's name. He won't remember the name.
It is a way to contact us in the comments. Give us
Good and bad. Good and bad.
It's almost been a year, and if you've been following us for a while, or if you're just brand new, give us some critique, so to speak.
Yes, we'd love it.
We would love it.
Yeah. Thank us again, and you have a wonderful Memorial Day. Love America.